Paul Chryst fired. Remember when Kevin Warren stood at the podium at Big Ten football media days this summer and talked about the stability of Big Ten coaches? Yeah, that's not a thing anymore. From 2015 to 2019, there were very few coaches that were better than Paul Chryst and better programs that were better and more successful on the field than the Wisconsin Badgers. During that time, 52-16 record, 3 Big Ten West titles, 4 of those 5 seasons were 10-win seasons, including that 13-win campaign in 2017. I asked this question yesterday in that Illinois reaction video. What happened? What happened to Wisconsin? What happened to a Paul Chryst-led Wisconsin Badgers team? All right, let's try to dive into this one. Development. I think that's the core of everything. Because over the years, whether it's been Barry Alvarez, whether it's been Brett Bielema at Wisconsin, this has never really been a Wisconsin program that's going to recruit with Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, and bring in elite level prospects like those programs do in recruiting. This has always been a team where we bring in 3 stars. We bring in these guys, maybe lower 4 stars, and we develop them into 5-star talent. We get guys that fit our system, that develop over time, and that become really good players that fit into Wisconsin football. And Paul Chryst, and what this version and where the program is going, it's not Wisconsin football. When you think of Wisconsin football, you think of hosses on the offensive line, moving guys around and pushing bodies down there in the trenches. You think of the great running backs that they've had over time, busting out into the open field, and you think about some good, solid defense. And right now, Wisconsin has none of that. The Badgers have none of that right now. When you talk about development, okay, I think for Paul Chryst, it centers around Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz came in, remember, class of 2019, a 4-star quarterback, the number 3 rated quarterback in the country, number 65 prospect in the country overall. A lot of fans in Wisconsin, a lot of fans in Madison were saying, all right, this is the guy. We finally recruited a good quarterback out of high school. Remember, everybody else, maybe except for Russell Wilson, who was a grad transfer, everybody else was just fine. Scott Tolzien, John Stocco, Tyler Hornibrook, you go down the list, Brooks Bollinger, you go down the list throughout all of history of Wisconsin football, and they're generally the same. They're game managers. And Graham Mertz was going to be better than that. That's what Graham was going to be. You can put the ball in Graham's hands and he's going to go make a play. He's going to be like Russell Wilson, and it never happened. It never happened. And maybe some Wisconsin fans would rather have those game managers. They'd rather have Alex Hornibrook back. Because remember, they chose Graham Mertz over him and Hornibrook transferred out. Because Alex Hornibrook was the quarterback during that 13-1 season. That's a decision the Wisconsin coaching staff made in favor of Graham Mertz. He has not developed. He hasn't gotten better. Sure, he's shown flashes of talent, but it hasn't really transpired anything. That falls on the coaches. You know what else falls on the coaches? The lack of development on the offensive line. You look back. Go look on 247sports.com. Go look at recruiting classes. They're bringing in high 4 stars. They're bringing in 5-star offensive line talent. They're bringing in good talent year after year after year lately, and it hasn't developed. Look at the offensive line we currently have in Madison, Wisconsin. It's not a good offensive line. It's, they've got decent talent in the backfield, but you can't get anywhere if those hosses aren't blocking for you. And that defense is not great. Now, speaking of defense, right now, it's not great. Maybe this is a transitional year. Jim Leonhard is taking over as the interim head coach. If there has ever been a coach an interim head coach that has a great chance to get the head coaching job, it might be Jim Leonhard. They love Jim Leonhard in Madison, Wisconsin. They love Jim Leonhard in Wisconsin in general. The bright spot about Wisconsin football the last few years, maybe not so much early this year, but the last few years has been that defense. That defense, since Graham Mertz has taken over at quarterback, has saved this program. Has saved this program from maybe being 6-6, from maybe being 7-5. And this has been Jim Leonhard's defense. And now, this is Jim Leonhard's audition. Can Jim Leonhard be the guy? Because all these other coaching searches, Nebraska, Arizona State, Georgia Tech, Jim Leonhard is mentioned. Jim Leonhard is mentioned as one of the best coordinators, offense or defense, in the entire country. So he's going to have a great opportunity to earn his spot. But it's been lack of development and lack of identity at Wisconsin under Paul Chryst. Want to hear what you guys have to think about this? Did they fire him too soon? Was it too late? Want to know your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Brett Bielema, you maybe should have taken it a little bit easier on your old buddy. Leave your thoughts, comments below. Make sure you subscribe. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we will see you in the next one.